Hi there everybody. Today I would like to discuss a fact about the Ukraine war that has been puzzling me. If we go back to the late 1980s, 89 to be precise, the Russians had, in their wisdom, like everybody else, had tried to invade, or had invaded Afghanistan. And like everybody else, so British and just about the Americans and just about everybody else, they came off worse than they expected. They withdrew. They withdrew their forces in 1989. Now, one of the big factors cited at the time for this withdrawal, for the final withdrawal, besides all the politics and everything else that was happening at that particular time, was protests by Russian mothers that they were fed up, rather like Vietnam, to see their sons coming back in body bags from Afghanistan. And this is something that I find extraordinary, because now we're in a situation where yesterday was the 3rd-year anniversary of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Slaughter is tremendous. We're at a level where it's hard to believe that the Russian people are not protesting about it at all, or at least it's not coming through to anything we are seeing in the news. Of course, there's censorship and everything is suppressed and all the rest of it, but even so, because the numbers are extraordinary. In Afghanistan, the Soviet forces lost a total 115,000 casualties. Now, casualties, you've got to be careful. Casualties mean they include fatalities, dead basically, and injured. The numbers being bandied about in the 3 years of the Ukraine war go from, quite frankly, exaggerated by the Ukrainians. They had numbers out yesterday that total Russian losses are around 168,000, which is obviously an exaggeration, because more realistically, the figures published by two publications, one of them is Media Zone and the other one is Meduza, which is a Russian website that exiled themselves from Russia at the beginning of the war because they were being persecuted, saying that realistically casualties, fatalities, let's not talk about casualties, sorry, not to confuse the two, is between 160 and 165,000 dead. Fine, okay. So it starts to be, even if we take the 186, over 800,000 reported by the Ukrainians, which of course includes just about everything possible, walking wounded I would have thought, and anybody who's been injured, we're still looking at, even the other people, Media Zone, are saying that doesn't count a whole bunch of things, because it's extremely difficult to arrive at a clear number because of, first of all, fog of war and the way Russia is set up, which obviously they have no interest whatsoever in people obtaining exact casualty figures or fatality figures for their forces in Ukraine. But we do know, and everybody knows, that especially last year, the various battles on the Donbass front have been what they call, rather crudely, meat grinders. They've just been throwing troops at the Ukrainians, but without any regard to the troops themselves. There were, and just as a side point, interesting to note that the North Koreans sent a brigade, or I don't know exactly how many it was 10,000 troops. That apparently we're talking about over 50% have been killed. I'll come back to those Russian mothers. Why are none of them making any noise? There's got to be a huge number of people affected by even if it's around the 160, let's say it's 200,000 dead. That's a huge amount of people. I don't get it until I read today an article in the Financial Times that proportionally a lot of the casualties in this war on the Russian side at the moment are old men. Why old men? Because the way that Russia is ensuring what people brutally call cannon fodder, all these people just running against the Ukrainian positions and dying basically, they do not want to put out another mobilization because they'll know that it will cause chaos in Russia, might start a revolution. And the other thing is that it's money. They offer them the equivalent of an apartment purchase price to go and fight, $60,000, $70,000, whatever it is in Russia. In our terms, it would be in Switzerland, it would be a lot more than that. But let's say in America, it would be the equivalent of a couple of $100,000 up front to go and fight. Which these old men, because a lot of them are in their 50s and 60s, have taken this money. First of all, there will be people who take this money because they're in a debt situation, but a lot of them are taking it because they want to, one of their sons or daughters got married and they want to offer them an apartment. Maybe it's for retirement, hopefully, if they ever come back, highly unlikely. And that is a small explanation of why, but it's still a huge puzzle for me, how we arrive at these massive casualties, 200,000 Ukrainians, what it's saying it's 800,000, I have no idea. But let's take the lower figure and extrapolate the casualties from the fatalities and say there was 165,000 fatalities, which a lot of people feel is conservative, but probably within that ballpark figure. Fatalities. Injured, arms, legs, eyes, the whole works, is got to be another 300,000. So we're talking about 500,000 people being injured or died in this 3-year war. Huge amount of people, huge amount of people. And nobody's protesting in Russia. Doesn't make a lot of sense. I personally think that Putin, and then we get into geopolitics with what is happening at the moment with this Trump initiative, which I will not comment on because I'll get angry. I think the Russian army is close to collapse and Putin has no way out. With these type of casualties and what is going on, can't last much longer. But people have been saying that for the last six months to nearly 1 year. We shall see. See you guys.